Let it hurt, my dear, and then slowly, gently let it heal. Come closer for a moment, not physically, but emotionally. Just soften your shoulders, unclench your jaw, and take a slow breath with me. Inhale, hold it for a second, and then release. You don't have to be strong right now. You don't have to pretend that everything is okay, because I can feel it. The quiet ache you've been carrying, the heaviness that lingers when everything gets silent. You've been trying to move on, haven't you? Trying to convince yourself that you're over it, that you should be past this by now, that enough time has passed, and yet something inside you still feels tender, still feels unfinished, still feels like it's holding on to something you don't quite understand. And maybe part of you feels frustrated. Why does it still hurt? Why does it come back in waves? When you thought you were finally okay, why do certain memories still catch you off guard? Like a song, a smell, a quiet moment late at night. My dear, come closer. What if I told you that nothing is wrong with you? What if I told you that this pain, this lingering ache, is not a sign that you're broken, but a sign that you love deeply, that you experience something real, something meaningful, something that mattered? Take a breath with that. Because the truth is, we've been taught to rush healing, to skip over the messy, uncomfortable middle, to act as if strength means silence, as if moving on means forgetting, as if healing means you should never feel the pain again. But that's not how the heart works. The heart doesn't operate on deadlines. It doesn't follow a schedule. It doesn't say, okay, it's been 3 months, you should be over it now. No, the heart feels in layers, and sometimes those layers unfold slowly, like a seed beneath the soil, unseen but quietly transforming. You don't dig up a seed every day to check if it's growing, do you? You don't rush it. You don't yell at it. You don't tell it, why aren't you a tree yet? No, you trust the process. You trust that something is happening, even when you can't see it. And my dear, your healing is exactly the same. Right now, you may feel like you're stuck, like you're not moving forward, like you're somehow failing at this whole letting go thing. But what if, beneath the surface, something beautiful is already unfolding? What if the pain you feel is not something to escape, but something to understand? Let me ask you something gently. Have you really allowed yourself to feel it? Not think about it, not analyze it, not distract yourself from it, but feel it. Because there is a difference, sweetheart, a very important difference. Thinking keeps you in the story. Feeling moves you through it. When you stay in your mind, replaying conversations, wondering what you could have done differently, questioning every little detail, you remain trapped in the loop of the past. But when you allow yourself to feel, truly feel, the sadness, the disappointment, the grief, something begins to shift. It softens, it releases, it transforms. I know it's uncomfortable. I know part of you wants to run from it, to numb it, to replace it with something else, someone else, anything else. But healing doesn't come from avoidance. It comes from presence. So just for a moment, I want you to stop running. Close your eyes. if you can, and ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Not what you think you should feel, not what others expect you to feel, but what is actually there in your chest, in your body, in your quiet moments. Is it sadness? Is it anger? Is it disappointment? Is it longing? Is it a mix of everything? Let it be there. Don't judge it. Don't label it as weak or wrong. Just let it exist. Because emotions are not here to hurt you. They are here to move through you, but they can only move if you allow them. And I know that part of your fear is this. If I let myself feel this fully, will it ever stop? If I open this door, will it consume me? That fear is so human, so natural. But here's the gentle truth. Emotions are like waves. They rise, they peak, and then they fall. They don't stay at their highest intensity forever. It's the resistance, the pushing away that keeps them stuck. When you say, I shouldn't feel this. When you say, I need to get over this. When you say, this shouldn't still affect me. You create tension, and that tension keeps the feeling locked inside. But when you soften, when you say, it's okay that this hurts, when you say, it's okay that I'm not over this yet, when you say, I'm allowed to feel this, something inside you begins to open, and the healing begins. Let it hurt, my dear. Not forever, not endlessly, but enough for it to be acknowledged, because unacknowledged pain doesn't disappear. It lingers. It hides. It shows up in unexpected ways, in your reactions, your fears, your patterns. But acknowledged pain transforms. It becomes wisdom. It becomes clarity. It becomes strength, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. You see, moving on isn't about erasing what happened. It's not about pretending it didn't matter. It's not about becoming someone who feels nothing. No, moving on is about integrating the experience. It's about allowing it to become part of your story without letting it define your future. And that takes time. It takes patience. It takes gentleness. And most importantly, it takes compassion for yourself. Because if you've been hard on yourself lately, if you've been telling yourself that you should be further along, that you should be stronger, that you should be over it by now, I want you to pause, and I want you to ask yourself, would I speak this way to someone I love? Would you look at someone you care about, someone who is hurting, and say, you should be over this already? No, you wouldn't. You would hold them. You would listen. You would give them space. You would remind them that healing is not a race. So why? Are you not offering that same kindness to yourself? My dear, you deserve your own compassion. You deserve your own patience. You deserve your own understanding. Because you are not behind. You are not failing. You are healing in your own time, in your own way. And yes, it hurts. Of course it does. Something ended. Something changed. Something you once held is no longer there in the same way. That's not small. That's not insignificant. That's something the heart needs time to process. So let it hurt. Let it be real. Let it be acknowledged. But also, begin to gently remind yourself, this is not the end of your story. This is not where your life stops. This is not where your joy ends. It may feel like that sometimes. I know. When the pain is fresh, when the memories are close, when everything feels uncertain, it can feel like this is everything. But it's not. It's just a chapter. A meaningful chapter. Yes. A painful chapter. Yes. But not the whole book. And somewhere, quietly, beneath the surface, you are already beginning to heal, even if you don't see it yet, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. It's happening in the way you're starting to understand things differently, in the way you're becoming more aware of your emotions, in the way you're learning, slowly, how to sit with yourself. That is healing. And you don't have to rush it. You don't have to force it. You just have to allow it. So take another breath with me, slowly in and gently out. And as you exhale, I want you to release the pressure to be okay, the pressure to have it all figured out, the pressure to move on faster than your heart is ready for. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to heal slowly. What if, my dear, this pain is not here to break you, but to reveal you? Take a slow breath before you answer that, because I don't want you to rush past it. Let it settle gently inside you. You see, we often think of pain as something that interrupts our life, something that shouldn't be there, something that has gone wrong. But what if pain is not the interruption? What if it is the invitation? An invitation to see more clearly, an invitation to feel more honestly, an invitation to come back to yourself. Because if you're really honest with me, and I want you to be, just for a moment, before this experience, before this loss, this ending, this disappointment, were there parts of you that you were ignoring? Were there feelings you were pushing aside? Were there quiet whispers inside you telling you that something wasn't fully aligned, but you stayed anyway? It's okay if the answer is yes. No judgment, just awareness. Because sometimes life doesn't shake us to punish us. It shakes us to wake us. And I know that can be hard to hear, especially when the pain feels so personal, so unfair, so heavy. But stay with me, because there's something deeper happening here, something subtle but powerful. You are not just losing something, you are shedding a version of yourself, the version of you that existed in that space, in that relationship, in that identity. And that can feel like grief, because it is. You're not just grieving what happened. You're grieving who you were, the dreams you held, the expectations you built, the future you imagined. And my dear, that kind of grief doesn't disappear overnight. It asks to be honored. So when you feel that heaviness in your chest, when you feel that quiet sadness creeping in, instead of pushing it away, try this. Place your hand gently over your heart and just whisper softly, I understand. I understand why this hurts. I understand why this matters. I understand why I'm feeling this. Do you feel the difference in that? It's not resistance. It's not judgment. It's compassion. And compassion is where healing begins to deepen. Because here's the truth that most people don't talk about. You don't move on by forgetting. You move on by becoming, by evolving into someone who no longer needs what once felt necessary, by growing into someone who can hold that memory without being held by it. And that doesn't happen by force. It happens through awareness, through presence, through gentle, consistent shifts inside you. Let me explain this in a way that might feel clearer. Imagine you're standing in front of a door. Behind that door is everything you thought you wanted, everything you invested your energy into, everything you believed would bring you happiness. And suddenly, that door closes, unexpectedly, painfully, and your first instinct, of course, is to knock, to try to reopen it, to question why it closed, to wonder if maybe, just maybe, it could open again. That's natural. That's human. But here's what I want you to consider. What if that door didn't close to take something away from you? What if it closed to redirect you? What if there are other doors, doors you haven't even noticed yet, quietly waiting for you to turn around, but you can't see them if you keep staring at the one that closed? My dear, I know how hard it is to turn around. I know how difficult it is to release what felt so important. But holding on doesn't reopen the door. It just keeps you standing in the same place. And you deserve more than that. You deserve movement. You deserve expansion. You deserve new possibilities. But those possibilities require space. And sometimes that space is created through loss, through endings, through moments that don't make sense at first. And this is where the shift begins, not in forcing yourself to move on, but in gently asking yourself, who am I becoming through this? Not, why did this happen to me? But, what is this revealing within me? Can you feel that subtle change? One question keeps you stuck in the past. The other opens you to growth, because when you begin to see your experience this way, something powerful happens. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is broken, and you begin to see yourself as someone who is evolving. And evolution is not always comfortable. Think about it. A seed, before it becomes a tree, has to break open. Its outer shell, the part that once protected it, must crack. From the outside, it looks like destruction, but from the inside, it's transformation. And my dear, right now, you may feel like you're breaking, but what if you're actually opening? What if the parts of you that are falling away are the parts that no longer serve who you are becoming? Sit with that for a moment, because this is where healing begins to feel different. Not like something you have to force, but like something that is naturally unfolding. And yes, there will still be moments of sadness. There will still be days where it feels heavy again. That doesn't mean you're going backwards. It just means you're human. Healing is not a straight line. It's more like a spiral. You revisit the same emotions, but each time from a slightly different place, with a little more understanding, a little more strength, a little more space around the pain. And over time, that space grows until one day you notice something surprising. The memory is still there, but it doesn't hurt the same way. It feels softer, distant, integrated, and you realize you didn't force yourself to move on. You became someone who naturally did. That is true healing, and I want to gently guide you into a small shift right now. Nothing overwhelming, just something simple. The next time the pain rises, instead of saying, "Why am I still feeling this?" try saying, "This is part of my healing. This is part of my becoming. This is not a setback. This is a release." Can you feel the difference? One creates frustration. The other creates acceptance. And acceptance is what allows the energy to move. Because holding on is not always about love. Sometimes it's about familiarity. Sometimes it's about the fear of the unknown, because even pain can feel safer than uncertainty. At least pain is familiar. At least you know what it feels like. But the unknown, the space beyond this chapter, that can feel intimidating. And so part of you may be holding on, not because you want to, but because you don't yet trust what comes next. And that's okay. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You don't have to see the whole path. You just have to take one gentle step, one small shift in awareness, one moment of choosing yourself, because moving on is not about losing something. It's about returning to yourself, to your peace, to your wholeness, to the version of you that is not defined by what happened, but expanded by it. And my dear, that version of you is already within you, waiting patiently for you to recognize her. So take another slow breath with me. Inhale deeply and exhale softly. And as you breathe out, I want you to release just a little bit more of the tension, a little bit more of the need to control the timeline, a little bit more of the pressure to be over it. You are exactly where you need to be. Even here, even now, what if, my dear, the reason it still lingers is not because you can't let go, but because a part of you still believes this is who you are now? Take a breath before you answer that. Slowly, gently. Let the air fill your chest and then release. Because this is where we begin to go deeper into a place that is quiet but incredibly powerful. Your identity. Not the surface level identity, not your name or your roles or what you show the world, but the identity you carry within, the one shaped by your experiences, the one that quietly whispers, "This is who I am." And sometimes, without even realizing it, we begin to attach our identity to our pain. We don't just say, "I went through something difficult." We begin to feel, "I am the one who was hurt. I am the one who was left. I am the one who lost." And my dear, when pain becomes identity, it doesn't leave easily, because letting it go can feel like losing a part of yourself. Can you feel that? It's subtle, but it's there. It's not that you want to hold on to the pain. It's that part of you doesn't yet know who you are without it. So you revisit it, you think about it, you feel it again and again. Not because you're weak, but because your mind is trying to make sense of who you are now. And I want you to know there is nothing wrong with that. This is how the human heart and mind try to rebuild themselves after something meaningful changes. But here's the gentle shift. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the moment that broke you. You are the awareness that experienced it. And awareness is always greater than any experience. So instead of asking, how do I stop feeling this? Try asking, who am I beyond this? Let that question sit with you, not as something to answer immediately, but as something to gently explore, because right now, your identity may still be intertwined with what happened. And that's okay, but it doesn't have to stay that way. You can begin slowly to separate yourself from the experience, not by denying it, not by pushing it away, but by seeing it clearly as something you went through, not something you are. Imagine holding a photograph in your hand. The photograph shows a moment from your past. You can look at it. You can feel the emotions connected to it. You can remember what it meant. But you know, you are not inside that photograph anymore. You are here, now. And my dear, your pain is like that photograph. It's a memory, an experience, a chapter. But you are still here, still alive, still becoming, still capable of new feelings, new experiences, new beginnings. And this is where something beautiful begins to happen. When you gently loosen your identity from the pain, you create space for something new to emerge, space for a new version of you to take shape. But here's where many people get stuck. They try to move on without redefining who they are becoming. They let go of the past, but they don't consciously step into a new identity. And so they feel lost, empty, uncertain. Because if you are no longer who you were, then who are you? And that question can feel uncomfortable. But it's also an opening, a doorway. So let me ask you softly, if you were not defined by this pain, if you were not carrying this story as part of your identity, who would you be? How would you feel? How would you wake up in the morning? How would you move through your day? Would you feel lighter, more open, more at peace, more trusting? Just imagine it gently, without forcing it. Because this is not about pretending. It's about remembering that you are more than what you've been through. And as you begin to connect with that version of yourself, even just a little something shifts. You begin to realize moving on is not about losing something. It's about becoming someone new, someone who carries wisdom instead of wounds, someone who carries understanding instead of pain, someone who carries softness without breaking. And my dear, that transformation doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small, quiet moments. In the way you speak to yourself, in the way you choose your thoughts, in the way you respond, instead of react. So let's take a gentle step together. Right now, I want you to bring your attention inward and notice the voice inside you, the one that speaks when you're alone. What does it sound like? Is it kind? Is it harsh? Is it critical? Is it gentle? Because that voice is shaping your identity every day. If it says, I'm still broken, you will feel broken. If it says, I'll never get over this, you will feel stuck. But if, slowly, gently, you begin to shift that voice, everything begins to change. Not overnight, not instantly, but gradually, powerfully. So instead of saying, I'm still hurting, try saying, I am healing, even if it's slow. Instead of, I can't let go, try, I am learning to release, one moment at a time. Instead of, this ruined me, try, this is reshaping me. Can you feel how different that is? It doesn't deny your experience. It doesn't invalidate your emotions. It simply gives them a new direction. And direction is what creates movement. Because your mind follows the story you tell it, and your heart responds to the meaning you give your experience. So if you tell yourself, this is the end of something beautiful, you will feel loss. But if you begin to gently shift that story to, this is the beginning of something new within me, you create space for hope, not forced hope, not unrealistic positivity, but a quiet, grounded sense that something is unfolding, even if you can't fully see it yet. And my dear, that is where true healing begins to take root. Not in forcing yourself to feel better, but in allowing yourself to become someone who no longer needs to hold on to the pain. Because here's something very important I want you to understand. Letting go is not something you do. It's something that happens when you outgrow what you were holding, just like you don't force a leaf to fall from a tree. It falls when it's ready, when the season changes, when it no longer needs to stay. And the same is true for you. You don't have to force yourself to move on. You just have to continue becoming until holding on no longer feels natural. And you are already on that path, even now, even in this moment. So take another breath with me, slowly in and gently out. And as you exhale, I want you to release the idea that something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are in transition. You are in transformation. You are in the process of becoming someone new. And that process requires patience. It requires gentleness. It requires trust. What if, my dear, healing doesn't require you to do something big, but simply to be with yourself in a different way? Take a slow breath with me before we go any further. Inhale, gently, and exhale, softly. Because now, we're not trying to understand anymore. We're not trying to analyze or figure everything out. Now, we're simply learning how to be with what is, in a way that feels safe, in a way that feels kind. And I want you to know something very important. You don't heal by forcing yourself to feel better. You heal by creating an environment within you where it's safe to feel. Can you feel the difference in that? One is pressure. The other is permission. So let's begin very gently. I want you to imagine your emotions, not as something chaotic or overwhelming, but as something that simply wants your attention, like a child, quietly tugging at your hand, not to disturb you, but to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be held, even for a moment. And instead of turning away, instead of saying, "Not now," or "Go away," what if you turned toward that feeling and said, "I'm here." That's it. Not trying to fix it, not trying to change it, just, "I'm here." Because sometimes that's all your heart needs, presence. And you can give yourself that in the smallest, simplest ways. When you wake up in the morning, before you reach for your phone, before the world rushes in, just place your hand over your heart and take one conscious breath, just one. And in that breath, remind yourself, I'm allowed to feel what I feel today. Not, I need to be okay. Not, I have to be strong. Just, I'm allowed. Do you feel how gentle that is? Because healing doesn't respond to force. It responds to softness. And throughout your day, there will be moments, little moments, where something stirs inside you, a memory, a thought, a feeling that rises unexpectedly. And in those moments, instead of tightening, instead of distracting yourself immediately, pause just for a few seconds and notice, where do I feel this in my body? Is it in your chest, your throat, your stomach? Just observe it without judgment. And then breathe into that space, slowly, gently, as if you are creating room around the feeling. You don't have to make it go away. You just have to stop resisting it. Because resistance is what makes emotions feel overwhelming. But when you allow them, even slightly, they begin to move. And this is how you begin to build trust with yourself again. Not by having everything figured out, but by knowing I can sit with myself no matter what I feel. And my dear, that kind of trust is powerful. Because once you know you can hold your own emotions, you stop fearing them. You stop running from them. And something inside you begins to relax. Now, I want to gently introduce something else. Something very simple, but deeply transformative. The way you speak to yourself in quiet moments, because your words, even the ones you don't say out loud, carry energy. They shape how you feel. They shape how you see yourself. So I want you to begin, softly, to shift your inner language, not by forcing positive thoughts, but by choosing kinder ones. When you notice yourself thinking, "This is too much," try gently replacing it with, "This is difficult, but I'm here with myself." When your mind says, "I should be over this," whisper instead, "I'm healing in my own time." When you feel overwhelmed, instead of saying, "I can't handle this," try, "I'm learning to hold this one moment at a time." Do you feel the softness in that? It doesn't deny your experience. It meets you where you are and supports you forward. And now, sweetheart, I want to guide you into a quiet moment together. Just a few gentle affirmations. Not something you have to repeat perfectly, just something you can feel into at your own pace. Take a breath and softly, inside your mind, or even out loud if you feel comfortable, repeat after me. I am allowed to feel and still be healing. Pause. I do not need to rush my heart. Pause. I am not broken. I am becoming. Pause. It is safe for me to let go slowly. Pause. I trust that I am moving forward, even when it's quiet. Just sit with those for a moment. Let them settle. Let them soften something inside you. Because affirmations are not about convincing yourself of something untrue. They are about gently reminding yourself of what is already possible. And the more you repeat them with feeling, with presence, the more your body begins to believe them. Now, there's something else I want to speak to, very gently. Because many people, without realizing it, hold on to their pain, not just because it hurts, but because it feels like letting go would mean it didn't matter, like releasing it would somehow erase the importance of what they went through. Have you felt that? That quiet resistance that says, if I move on, does that mean it meant nothing? My dear, no. Letting go does not erase meaning. It honors it in a different way. It says, this mattered, and I carry the lesson, not the pain. You don't have to hold on to suffering to prove that something was real. It was real because you felt it. It was real because it touched your heart, and nothing can take that away. But you are allowed to release the weight of it. You are allowed to choose peace without guilt. And sometimes the reason it feels hard to let go is because you've become used to carrying it. It's familiar. It's been part of your daily emotional landscape, and releasing it can feel like stepping into something unknown, something empty, something uncertain. But what if that space is not empty? What if it's open? Open for new feelings, new experiences, new connections, new versions of you that you haven't met yet. And you don't have to rush into that space. You can step into it slowly, gently, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. So here's something very simple you can begin doing. At the end of each day, just before you sleep, take a moment to reflect softly, not on everything that went wrong, not on everything you're still trying to figure out, but on one small thing, just one, where you showed up for yourself. Maybe you allowed yourself to feel instead of avoiding. Maybe you spoke to yourself more kindly, even once. Maybe you simply got through the day when it felt heavy. That counts. It all counts. And when you begin to notice these small moments, you begin to see something clearly. You are healing, even in ways you didn't recognize before, even in ways that feel invisible. And that awareness, that gentle acknowledgement, it builds something inside you. Confidence, trust, a quiet knowing that you are moving forward even when it doesn't feel dramatic. And my dear, This is how healing truly happens. Not in big, sudden breakthroughs, but in small, consistent acts of presence and compassion. And as you continue this journey, there's one more layer we need to gently uncover, one more quiet truth about why letting go can feel so difficult. Even when you know deep down that you're ready. What if, my dear, the hardest part of letting go is not the loss itself, but the quiet fear of what comes after? Take a breath with me, slowly, gently, because this is a tender place we are stepping into. You see, most people think they are holding on because they still love, or because they are not ready, or because they don't know how to let go. But beneath all of that, there is often something deeper, a quiet, almost invisible fear. Who will I be without this? What will my life feel like? Without this story, this person, this version of me, and sometimes, even more quietly, will I be okay in that space? My dear, that fear is so human, so natural, because even pain becomes familiar. Even sadness becomes something you learn how to carry. It becomes part of your rhythm, part of your emotional landscape, part of the way you understand yourself. And when something has been part of you for so long, letting it go can feel like stepping into emptiness, like standing in a quiet room where something important used to be. And that silence, that space, can feel uncomfortable at first, not because something is wrong, but because it's new, and the mind often prefers what is familiar, even if it hurts, over what is unknown, even if it could bring peace. So, if you've been feeling this subtle resistance, if part of you keeps going back, revisiting, remembering, holding on, I want you to understand. It's not weakness. It's protection. A part of you is trying to keep you in what it knows, because it doesn't yet trust what it doesn't know. And instead of fighting that part of you, instead of saying, "Why am I like this?" or "I should be over this," what if you gently turned toward it and said, "It's okay to be afraid. I understand why this feels uncertain. I'm here with you, even in this unknown." Can you feel the shift in that? It softens the resistance. It creates safety, because healing is not just about releasing the past. It's also about feeling safe in the present and open to the future. And safety, my dear, begins within you, not in circumstances, not in other people, but in your relationship with yourself. So let's create that gently together. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, a version of you standing a few steps ahead. Not a perfect version, not someone who has everything figured out, but a version of you who has moved through this, who has felt it, processed it, and gently released it. How does she feel? Take your time. Does she feel lighter, calmer, more at peace? Does she carry a quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything? Now, notice something important. She is not empty. She is not lost. She is not broken. She is whole in a new way. She has space, yes, But that space is not painful. It's peaceful. It's open. It's alive with possibility. And my dear, that version of you is not far away. She is not someone you have to chase. She is someone you are already becoming, with every moment you choose to feel, to understand, to soften, to release. So instead of asking, when will I finally be over this? Try gently asking, how can I support myself as I become her? Do you feel that shift? It takes you out of pressure and brings you into presence, because becoming is not something you rush. It's something you allow. And as you allow it, you begin to notice small changes, subtle but real. The pain doesn't feel as sharp. The memories don't pull you in as strongly. The heaviness begins to lift, even if just a little. And one day, you will wake up and realize you didn't think about it first thing in the morning, and it will surprise you. Not because you forced it, but because it happened naturally. That is the moment. You will understand. You have moved on, not by forgetting, but by growing. And until that moment comes, be gentle with yourself. So gentle. Because there may still be days when it comes back, when something reminds you, when you feel that familiar ache again. And in those moments, I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to think, I've gone backwards. No, I want you to pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, this is just a wave, not the whole ocean. Let it rise. Let it pass. Because it will. It always does. And each time it passes, it takes a little more of the weight with it, until eventually there is nothing left to carry. Now, before we close this moment together, I want to leave you with something soft, something you can return to whenever you need. So take one last slow breath with me. Inhale deeply and exhale gently. And in this quiet space, let these words settle into your heart. I allow myself to feel, and I allow myself to heal. Pause. I release what I no longer need with love. Pause. I am not my past. I am becoming my future. Pause. I trust the timing of my healing. Pause. I am safe to let go and step into something new. Just sit with that. Let it soften you. Let it remind you. You are not alone in this. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are healing, slowly, quietly, beautifully. And my dear, one day, you will look back at this chapter, not with pain, but with understanding, not with heaviness, but with gratitude for how it shaped you. And you will realize it didn't end you, it opened you. So for now, let it hurt gently, and then let it heal. I'm right here with you, every step of the way.